Okay, so we've had the Octomore 12.1, and now it's time for 12.1's big brother, the 10-year 5th edition. Okay, so this Octomore is 10-year-old. It is the end of the 12 series. It was released in 2021. Limited release. There was 3,500 bottles bottled and released. So again, a limited release as Octomores usually do. This guy comes in at 90.3 ppm, so 40 ppms less. That should make the wife happy. It's 56.3% alcohol and 112.6 proof. Now I'm excited about this because it's double the age, which means we should be able to get a little less of the cask strength burn, as one of you commented last week. So that should be nice. It should also help the wife out, and we all know the wife needs a lot of help. Okay, so first this was aged for 5 years in first fill American oak, and then the last 5 years it was recast into Ribera del Duero Spanish wine casks. So this should have a little bit of some nice wine, like tannin-y, dry, to go along with this smoky fruit basket I think we're going to get. So I know in my last video I said I didn't know when the 13th was out, but the 13th edition is out on their website. This is where I got this one. I bought this Octomore from Octomore's website. I actually think this specifically was an online exclusive. So I paid $150 for this. However, shipping to me, from the UK, was another $50. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to rate the value when we get to that point, but I guess we'll figure it out when we get there. But I'm going to go ahead and just look at this. This isn't colored. This is natural color. Awesome. It is a little darker than the other one. The other one was like a white pale wine. And I can already tell this is going to be a nice velvety mouthfeel like I had for the last one, but maybe a little more. Maybe that the wine cask will help that a little bit. So let's nose this. Oh man. So this has a much more subtle peat smoke on that. And I'm getting that dry red wine. And I think I want to say there's a little bit of toffee behind that. It's much lighter than the 12.1 last week in a good, pleasant way. I honestly think if the wife smelled this, she wouldn't hate it. There's actually, on the nose this time, a little more butter on this. This is gonna be really nice. And actually, on this, that's appley. That smells like a nice orchard. Oh yeah. If you just maybe set a little bit of an apple tree on fire, some nice subtle smoke. That's what that kind of smells like on the end of that nose. Don't burn things down though. Oh yeah, that is a nice nose. All right, let's give her a taste, shall we? Oh my. So immediate reaction. Less burn, but there's pepper pops on my tongue that come along with that initial kind of peat smoke. Very, very oily in the mouth. Less buttery than last week, but still really, it's still buttery. Buttery, velvety. Those pepper pops, like pop, kind of like Pop Rocks. The pepper's just popping back there. It's nice. I'm getting some nice dark oak on that. Maybe a tad bit of, maybe a little bit of a leather note. I'm not quite getting that apple I got on the nose yet, but maybe. The finish is starting to be really, really nice. It's not as chilly today as it was last week. It's about 70 degrees, but I'm still gonna enjoy this. There's some fruit on the finish. Not quite on the initial palate, but the finish is getting to a nice dried fruit as well. So the dryness of that red wine, I think balances this out well. Because I think because I like dry red wines, I kind of pivoted to Islas and Octomores. Like, it's really nice. Having them both together is amazing. So there is some nice, so the pepper pops, the peat smoke, some really dark oak and some leatheriness with some outdoorsy notes on the palate. Definitely buttery, velvety mouthfeel. The finish goes into this nice, kind of like cooked dried fruits, and it's fantastic on the finish. This is a superb whiskey, seriously. Something about those extra 5 years and the less ppms is just hit that nice, and that was the best sip. That was actually kind of a really light zesty floralness right on that sip. That was one of my best sips I've had. I'm gonna just let this finish just kind of soak in. It's gonna be really nice. Let's give this nose a rating, shall we? I think the nose is just a smidge better than the 12.1 last week, but not a whole lot. I don't want to say 4.6, so we're just going to say 4.5 on this. It is a little more of an inviting nose for someone who doesn't quite know if they like super heavily peated stuff yet. So it would bring them in. It wouldn't scare them away. It doesn't smell exactly like, really smoky peaty fire. There's a lot of nice pleasantness back there. Again, that little apple orchard that I smelled at the very end of my third nose, it was great. It's with these Octomores, it's not just going to be peat. There is really nice complex flavors here, and the dry red wine really adds to this. The dryness, some of the tannins, it is a very, very nice nose. So 4.5 on that. All right, let's rate the palate. I really think the palate is way better than the 12.1 last week. I'm probably going to give this palate a 4.75. The best palate I've had so far on my channel. I can't really say any bad things about it. It's not quite a 5. There's one of those intangible things for me to get to a 5. Hasn't quite hit that yet, but this is a superb palate. So 4.75 on the palate. Okay, so now the finish. The finish is awesome. I can't say many bad things about the finish either. So I'm going to sip again, though, and just let it kind of get in there while I'm talking. Before that sip, though, I was getting some nice apple, oak, some nice, a little bit of vanilla sweetness. The dryness of those wine casks, I think, really makes the finish start off really, really nice. And I think it helps let it sit down there. This finish, one of my favorite finishes I've had so far on the channel. And this isn't all coming from bias. This is just an insanely good whiskey. So finish, 4.75 out of 5. Seriously, that is just what I'm getting is phenomenal. It's not quite the 5. Again, we have another one of those intangible things that hasn't quite hit me yet. So 4.75. Okay, so now the value. I really don't know how I'm going to do this because I bought the whiskey for $150 US, but the shipping obviously was going to be more, so it was $50 shipping. So total $200, which is actually still $30 less than the 12.1 last week. So, and I do know that, whiskey stores will get less shipping costs because they're just bigger and they can buy more. So little old me isn't going to be able to get the shipping costs that they get. So we're going to go ahead and just call it $190, okay, what I got for this. So that being said, that's already $40 less than the 12.1 last week. So I can't really argue with that. This is an awesome experience for people that like Islas and super heavy peat stuff. Even if this isn't, I wouldn't even call this super heavy peat. It says 90 on the bottle, but that's not what the presentation gives me. It is much more muted than that. So don't be afraid. The 90 is just the number. A lot of that stuff is just what numbers say, but the whiskey says something different. This is very nice. So with all of that being said, I really do think the value on this is definitely a 4.5. Because I said last week I would pay 180 max for the 5-year. This is 10. A little bit of a caveat though, this is actually 50 milliliters less than what the other Octomore was. I don't know why this is 700 milliliters, it's not 750. Still, I don't think that's worth like getting that much granularity over. So I'm gonna say 4.5 on the value. Okay, so the math came out to 4.625. Again, this is gonna get weird. I'm gonna have to tailor my rating system eventually, but for now, I did push the Octomore 12.1 up from a 4.125 to a 4.25. So kind of the same thing here. I have to push this to a 4.75. Almost, and for right now, a perfect whiskey for my rating system. Out of 5, 4.75. We're rounding it up. I might have to do some stuff. Hey, if you have some suggestions about the way that I rate these things based on my like finger scale, give me a comment. I'm definitely open to some feedback. I want this to be like as accurate as possible, but I'm not gonna do this whole like out of 100 thing. I'm not wine advocate or whatever it is. So overall, 4.75 rounded. This is just a very, very excellent whiskey. Excellent experience. If you can get your hands on a 10-year Octomore, definitely do it. I had no problems ordering from the website, so if you wanted to try it, seriously, go from the website. It's great. Cheers. Okay, wife time, and we know how she reacted last time, but this is a much less of a harsh experience, at least for someone like you. So, I hope that you can appreciate the fact this is my highest rated whiskey on the channel so far. So, it's double the age, it's in wine. You love wine, you're a wine girl, right?
Yep.
So, at least give it a nose, and at least try and compare it to the last one. It's got to be a little better than the last one, so give that a nose.
Okay.
That's better, isn't it?
The nose is better, yes.
It's less. It is still a little bit of peat in there, but it's not as smoky, right?
No, it's not as.
Do you get any apple orchards that I got?
Absolutely not.
Is it just smoke for your nose?
Yes.
Okay. Don't you? Isn't the color nice though?
It's like apple juice.
There you go. Okay. So, moment of truth. Is this better for her than the 12.1 last week? We'll find out. Give it a taste. No? Is it just as bad? It's gotta be better, right? It's not better at all.
I mean,
Really? Okay, well, it looks like she's never gonna have an Octomore with me, and that's quite alright. I enjoyed this whiskey a lot, as you know, 4.75. Best I've ever had on the channel. If you can find a 10-year bottle, grab it. Seriously, this, you can grab a 10-year bottle and you like Isla's and peat, grab it. This is an amazing experience for me, not for her. We're gonna find some for her, I promise, one of these days. Maybe they're Japanese, who knows? In the meantime, cheers. All right, Whisky Wheel. There's no more Octomores on the wheel, so we can't get another Octomore, so let's find out what we're gonna get. Ooh, we got an Irish whiskey, Redbreast 12 year. I know one of you out there really likes the Redbreast, so this is for you. See you next time.